So after last night's bread making, so like before I had the steak, I did cut a couple slices of bread and like, here's, that looks like really bad, but the fact is I don't have a bread knife here yet. I have a bread knife at home, in the condo I should say, and I just, use a steak knife to cut the bread this time, which is, known not to be quite accurate. I'm gonna try to cut some sandwich bread. I think I've got a little bit of this loaf left. Thing is, it's like, okay, so what can happen, and this happened here, is that, so like, this is the, if you will, the ass end of the bread that, like, when it's in the bread maker, it's it's at the bottom of the bread maker pan, and there's a little actuator paddle that's sitting on the bottom of the pan too. That when it's in its dough form, it's like mixing the dough. So if you're using a bread maker, you always have to deal with that some way or another. In this case, like, I pulled the bread out and my God, is it like, no, it's not all the way through. Okay. I pulled the bread out and it's just like a big clump of the bread like tore out with the paddle at the bottom of the bread pan there, and the rest of the bread came out just normally. But yeah, it has this like tear out thing, and like there's some bread makers that you can like at least pull out the paddle part of the mixer before it, like the rest of the cycle starts. But I'm not sure if this is one of them or not. Again, this was like a $5.50 acquisition at a thrift store, so I have no idea. We'll try to get some more directions on that, but it shouldn't, like, like, even if the thing stays in place, the little paddle thing, like, all it should do is like leave a little paddle mark and not like tear out a bunch of bread. So I don't know, man. Like, I'll learn about this, but all I'm saying is, like, okay, I got a pretty deep cavern there, and I've got this from this side. And by the way, I like before I had the steak and before I was even like recording or even doing anything, I had like a slice of bread that I cut into two and then turned into like kind of bread and butter. Well, my butter was kind of like pretty hard. It wasn't really spreading that well, but this was pretty good for that. This is really, this bread I think is much more suited for sandwich bread, which is consistent with its the people who talked about it in the recipe. But yeah, it wasn't like great, like, like pre-dinner bread. But so here, over here is like the top part of the loaf. You can see I've broken some off there. What I noticed was like the crust, like on this bread, it's like it actually tastes quite good on it. It's like you get some bread and get a little crust on there, and it's like whoa. I mean, maybe as kids we were like tearing the bread crust off our fucking Wonder Bread, but this natural made bread, you kind of like the crust a little bit, and so I'm thinking of like, instead of making like a sandwich loaf in this bread maker next time, I'm gonna make it like a little, like a smaller kind of loaf like this. That's like, whatever, twice the size of this, whatever thing, but it's like, it's got like a huge, like, surface area to volume ratio, whatever. Not that I could communicate that mathematically right now, but what I'm saying is like, it'll have a lot of crust. There's not a hell of a lot of bread inside, but there's way more than enough to like just do what I'm doing here, which is like, I just kind of break a little bit off. I could be dipping this in like an olive oil or something. I'm not in this case. I can just eat it. I'll bite. That's good, man. Wow, I like that. So it's like, in these videos that when I watched before I went ahead with this, I was like, people are like, it's so great, I have my own bread, and I love it, it's so good, And I'm like, this is really decent sandwich bread, but it's, and like I said, it's like the recipe is like the most basic white bread you can probably make. So nobody's trying to claim anything that they're not trying to achieve there, but and as sandwich bread, I did have, like I said, I had a little bit of bread and butter. I can totally see that, but I'm like, man, yes, I do want good sandwich bread, and it's not it's like, I just need to like go and do more like exploration on recipes. This is my only first one, and I have no idea if it would work. So I was like, I'll just do this one basic thing and see if it works. Seemed to work. But if I want to like I could probably get into some French breads and some Italian breads and some whatever, some ciabattas and some brioches and all that shit. I hope that's available to me with the bread machine. So yeah, I mean, it does make good. I think it'll make good sandwich bread, but I think like right now, if I was just gonna use this recipe and this recipe only, I'd be like making small batches of like bread that like was like, yay thick, and then you just peel off little pieces of it with some crust on it. That is fucking good. So anyway, I'm gonna make a chicken sandwich right now. Alright, yeah.